Okay, so I'm gonna do one more on parenting, and then we'll change it up to maybe some marriage stuff. Okay. What do I do if my child screams and screams when he is disciplined? So let's say they're doing all that, they're trying to, not spare the rod, and then he just and won't stop. Well, what suggestion would you have to get him to calm down or stop?
I think that's kind of an age-appropriate one, don't you think? Some kids don't like to be spanked. It really hurts, and they get themselves all worked up before it's coming. So you may have to just give it some time. But the girls, I taught them, Mitch and I taught them. And again, this didn't happen perfectly. But basically what we said was, when you are going to get a spanking, that's something that you asked for. That's something that you chose to do to get that spanking. So take it like a girl. You really take it like a big girl then. And no squirming around, no moving around. Now, there were times they would do that, and I'm sorry if their hand got smacked in there, or they twisted around where it might get on the front of their leg or something. Well, they learn pretty quick not to do that anymore. Maybe have them grab their ankles. I don't know, something like that. So it just depends on. And again, we never.
And when they first did it,
while we're angry.
Yeah. So now you're saying it's a spanking. They're like, yeah. Then I say, whoa, you keep doing that, then more are coming. So stop doing that. Turn around and do what I say. And some are super stubborn. So you're going to have to keep on, doing that or whatever. I don't know. After they get the spanking. Well, that's a different thing.
And don't you think that
somewhere else.
don't you think that after they get the spanking and they keep on going, and if you're telling them to stop, well, why aren't they listening to you? So that shows that you're not getting their attention in other areas. So they're still not listening to you. So you may have to just say, stop crying right now, like give them a few minutes, stop crying right now. And if they don't, then now they disobeyed you again, give them another spanking. And I've literally had moms say, well, I can't. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Because they're disobeying you again.
Right.
So just do it, and if it happens maybe a couple times in a row, then now it's time to go to bed.
And also, I know Steve, like before he would spank, like he would hit his, like if you're going to spank with a glue stick or whatever you're doing, you do it on yourself. So you make sure you're not, hurting them really bad, but it needs to hurt enough that they don't want to do that again. It can't be like, the kids who have the diapers on, the moms go like this, stop. Well, that didn't do anything. Right. So if you're going to spank, it needs to be an event. Count. It needs to be something. But I think, again, if you're just coming into this and your kids are older, it's going to take a little bit of time then. But if you have babies, start it now. Yeah. Where you say, no, we don't act like that when this is happening, or else you're going to get another one.
And I remember when I used to have to, like Bobby said, I would have to sit the girls down and say, I have been disobeying God. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so what began from that time forward is I would tell them something, and if they didn't do it, I would just get up and swat them. There was no warning or anything. Yeah. And now if at that point they back-talked or were disrespectful or screamed and yelled, then they got another spanking. So I think the more you just be a woman or a man of your word, the kids will get it. But yeah, the spanking should count, or I think that's more child abuse than child abuse sometimes.
If they don't count,
because you're just making them mad now. Now you're disregarding Colossians.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's so important to have both husband and wife in the home. But I think it goes back to the fear thing where you said fear the dad. Yeah. Is if the spanking actually meant something, they're not going to be carrying on. You know what I mean? Especially if you're threatening another spanking. Yeah. Like if they're continuing to throw a fit, and I saw that from Pastor Steve too. Before I had kids, one thing he said is that, hey, I spank them, I give them time to do their little cry thing, and if they carry on, then I talk to them and I say, look, you're going to get another one if you continue to do this.
Yeah, like if they're screaming or like, I hate you. My kid said that one time to me, and then that's all.
Yeah.
No, you tell them, don't you ever say that to I don't know, people have a mom voice. Use your mom voice.
Mama bear.
The mom voice, and you say, that's not happening again. If that happens again, then there's whatever your consequence is. Right. It has to happen. And so you don't let them do that. You don't let them hit you. They're not allowed to pound you.
They're not allowed to go in their room and kick the walls and slam doors. I mean, obviously there's been times I've been mad where I've slammed the door. But, so I can understand. I can understand.
Right, we get it.
I can understand that feeling,
your
but that's still not right.
Nope. So we didn't let them do that. And I know Chrissy was asking us a question about like you put them down for a nap.
Oh yeah.
Can we say that one real quick? You put them down for a nap and they don't stay in their bed. So usually when you get them from the crib and then you're going to put them in the bed, it takes a little bit of time. So you say, don't get out of bed. You have to stay in your bed. And Of course, depending on their age, some kids don't need a lot of sleep, but mom needs time. So they need to go in their room and they need to have quiet time, whatever it is. If you give them a little pile of books or their little toys or whatever, but they have to stay in bed for however long you decide it is. If it's a half hour, it's an hour, I don't know, whatever mom decides, and they have to stay in bed. Right. And so when they get out of bed, you say, oh, Johnny, remember what mom said when they're first starting, we're not going to get out of bed. Don't get out of bed again. And Johnny gets out of bed, then we have a trip to the bathroom, which was my spanking spot. Right. So into the bathroom we go, and we're going to have a spanking. I said, don't get out of bed. This is how we're going to. So there has to be consequences. I guess some people were saying that they just shut the door and they kind of like lock the kids in the room, and then the kids are kicking and screaming and like, okay, I'm not really sure. I don't know who gave that advice in the very beginning, but first of all, for me, I would be psycho by the time, like I would be ready to kill them because they're screaming. I'm trying to have a rest. The baby's trying to have a rest, right? Or whoever's trying to rest, and they're going crazy. No, so you don't let, that is not happening.
Because when you do discipline, your intensity level is going to be so ramped up by the time you get to
you're
them.
ready to kill them. That's what I'm saying. Like
Freak
I'm just
I had a friend, and her son was probably, I think maybe in second, he was young, but she would, her husband wasn't saved at the time, and so she did the bulk of the discipline. And so what would happen was he would just like freak out on her. So she would put him on his bed and tell him, you need to stay here, right? Well, then he'd get up and he'd want to come out the door and stuff like that. So she'd swat him, sit him on the bed. Well, then you could tell that she disciplined him because he'd stay on the bed, but then he started kicking the floor. Yeah. So he just kept trying all these different things. And so it was driving her nuts. And so I was there one time when it happened. I said, listen, tell him that if he doesn't scream anymore, or after she did all this stuff, I said, if he doesn't kick the wall or do all these things, you're going to set a timer. As soon as you hear him stop, you're going to set a timer, and in 5 minutes he can come out. And it worked. So she didn't lock him in there. She didn't scream at him or anything. She just disciplined him, told him that he needed to go into his room now. When he went into his room, that's when he would pitch the fit. So she just, every step of the way, she just kept dealing with each situation, and sooner than later, he it wasn't very long that he just, as soon as she said, you can come out after you hear the timer go off, and because he wanted out, he wanted to come back out into the living room or his play or whatever, he couldn't hear the timer if he was screaming, so you could hear him go. And then it's silent. Because you could tell he wanted to hear the timer. Yeah. And so she just, but you know what? Each time she said, stop kicking the wall, and then she walked back out and he kicked the wall, she went in there and spanked him. And then, yes, he started screaming even more, but it doesn't matter. You can't give in.
You have to win. You have to be stronger-willed than them. And it's tiring.
It is.
I mean, we get it. But you know what? It's such a blessing when your kids are older and they're not yelling at you, telling you what they're going to do and what they're not going to do and all that kind of stuff. So it's worth the investment right now when they're little. It's worth it, even though you're so tired. But I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yes. That's right. Amen. So you're able to do all those kinds of things, even though.
And he's giving, like you said, he's giving us everything we need to do it.
Yeah. And I would start again, if you have kids and they're 5 or 6 and you haven't done this, I would sit them all down, tell them mommy hasn't been doing what the Bible says. This is how we're going to do it from now on. So when you go in there, this is what we're going to do. Right. So get clear explanation, clear lines. Here's what we're doing, and then you need to do it. And however long it takes, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Right. And it could take 3 weeks.
It could.
Well, but pretty soon, 3 weeks are so much better than years and years and years and then going to jail. Yes. Right? Then Matt doesn't want to have to deal with them afterwards.
I don't work there anymore, but my friends do.
And of course, every child will try the whole, after you send them to bed, I need a drink of water, or I have to go to the bathroom, or I'm hungry.
So do all those before?
Do all that before. I used to tell the girls, okay, half an hour, you have a half an hour. My daughter does that. You have a half an hour, and then it's time for bed. So make sure you've got your snack,
your
drinks,
and your water. Go potty, do all your things.
Of that. And then once they're in bed, and mom and dad have prayed with them and shut that door, they stay in there. So your point
about that it's rough right now, and that it can be time consuming and stuff. If people could look at the longevity,
that's what you're supposed to do.
Like the Lord could show them. I mean, they're gonna be successful in their career because of this. Yes. They're gonna have successful marriages. I mean, there's so many things that if you can teach them now, that they're gonna have success on, it'll change their life. You can do it.
And that little sticker I've seen on some people's cars that says "raising little arrows." Okay, stop and think about that for a minute. You take an arrow and you put it in a bow and you shoot it out. That's why you have an arrow. You don't lug it around on your back for the rest of your life. I mean, if
the
you
whole
have
point
the
is they're
arrow
going to go
there,
out,
it's
right?
supposed to go somewhere, right? And so, you know, we have to have long-term goals. And I do appreciate that. That's something that Mitch said early on, was that our goal is to raise girls who love God with their whole heart, mind, and soul, and treat others better than themselves. That's the goal of our family. The goal. And so that was always the goal of our parenting, was to do that. And of course we didn't do it perfectly. No one does.
Right.
Yeah. That was our goal.
Yep.